Yo, welcome to Vegabomberland. Actually, this is not Vegabomberland.
You're on vacation at the Lost Toys, right?
That's exactly right. The Lost Toys. And you guys know about this spot. We've talked about this, and we also told you that we're going to give you more Star Wars content as we get close to The Force Awakens. So, by the way, what the... Oh my god.
This is the Legacy Edition Millennium Falcon. And, it's like as big... The biggest one they ever made. Have you ever seen the AT-AT they make? That's like the size of like a Great Dane.
Not in person, but yeah. My gosh.
They made this. They made the X-Wing is around here somewhere, but they made those three in lifetime and to scale, I guess. So,
no, that's
pretty cool.
That's pretty impressive. I have to say it's impressive.
Most impressive.
Most impressive. Well, as you guys know, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about all the Star Wars films all the way up until episode 6, and then the next day will be episode 7. We'll all go see it, and then we'll come back and we'll tell you about that. So that means we're going to have to jump into some prequel talk. And
your favorite.
Yes, my favorite. So just to let you know where my card is, my Star Wars card is that I'm an OT guy for sure. There are some moments, though, in the prequels that were good, and we'll definitely talk about that. We'll be fair, because I noticed there's a lot of people now that are kind of overreacting about the prequels, and then that's creating a little bit of butthurt. I mean, haven't you seen that too?
Yeah, they. I guess they think that theirs are. I guess there's a little bit of time has passed, so they look back at them fondly. I don't know. Younger kids didn't grow up with the ones we had, so it's got to be different. I mean, I don't understand it, but
yeah. Well, George Lucas for sure let us know that he did lose his mind when he decided to do this, but let's kind of jump in. So the first movie, episode 1, came out in '99. We were excited. This is a long time since we'd had a Star Wars movie, which would have been Return of the Jedi. And here we go. We've got some prequels that are going to tell us about how Darth Vader eventually became Darth Vader for some strange reason, over 3 movies. We needed to do that. Were you a little nervous in '99, or what was kind of...
So I remember, I don't know if you remember, but people were sleeping out in in tents for weeks. Yeah. You know, not just the night before, for a long time. People, I mean, this was a huge deal when this movie came out. The toys, I mean, it was like Force Friday times 10. Well, I don't know. It was all kind of the same, but... man, the hype train was rolling right through, man, and
rolling through.
I don't know. I thought I was so ready. Like I didn't sleep outside, but I got there several hours early, and I just remember I saw it, and I went back and saw it the next 2 days because I thought I must be missing something.
Clearly I might have been not in my right
something
mind.
Must be wrong. And then looking back oh no, it just sucks. It's just not a good movie.
I have to say I went and saw it at least 2 or 3 times. I think we took the day off from work and saw it on that Friday. Most people saw it that Thursday night, but we saw it on Friday at the matinee. We took the day off to go see this thing, and people were still dressed up even at the matinee. That's the scope of this thing. And so what was it about? The Phantom Menace. That's what it was called. So first of all, the Phantom Menace, the title, I wasn't quite sure who that Phantom was.
Yeah, you have to remember how much goodwill George Lucas had stored up before this movie came out. He had full benefit of the doubt. Look, Phantom Menace, I don't get it. Okay,
right.
Big old goofy looking fish guy. Whatever, I don't get it, but I'll go see it. We didn't. Now you kind of as those movies progressed, you got more trepidatious. I don't know. But that first one, we didn't think it was going to be bad. Did you have any?
No, I had no idea. I thought it was going to be good. In fact, the commercials. Remember the trailers? Yeah. The trailers for episode 1. Go back, look at them. Killer.
Yeah, remember the first time you saw Darth Maul, and you're like, "Oh my god, he's terrifying."
He was definitely terrifying, and in fact, I knew I was like, "I got to go see this just to see how they're going to take a dude like that down." Because, I mean, double-bladed lightsaber, we hadn't seen anything like that before, and Darth Vader's already menacing as it is. But looking at Darth Maul, he was definitely, in terms of just looking at him, he was definitely more horrifying to look at. I mean, Darth Vader after a while, breathing hard, but not Darth Maul. Dude shows his teeth, and it just.
Scary, man. And they picked the right guy because he could do all those things. That was really Darth Maul, Ray Park. So,
yes, it was.
Snake Eyes. He could do all these crazy things. I've seen him do them in person at Comic-Con, and it's wild, man. He was incredible. He's the best. I think, looking back, is he the best part of that movie? Like,
you know what? I would say that exactly. And in fact, let's get into it. And I would say for sure that the Darth Maul was the best parts of this film for me. I guess Lucas decided, okay, we're going to call it the Phantom Menace. But the problem, I think, the early problems I had with this film was, okay, who's doing what? Who's part of what? And then, of course, I'm going off of my Star Wars head from '77, like, okay, Ben Kenobi's in this. And Ben talked fondly of Anakin and all this stuff. Yet, when we got there, Anakin didn't even show up in the film until like 45 minutes into it. And then Ben Kenobi was running around with some guy named Qui-Gon Jinn who was making some really bad decisions. Hey, let's just go into town. Let's take Jar Jar Binks with us into town, and let's leave the capable people here back in the ship. I mean, when that part happened, then...
So you take the... What was Padme supposed to be at that time? She was like the Queen's maiden or something. So, well, not even the Queen. So you take a handmaiden, big fish monster, idiot.
Yeah.
And
the slowest droid ever, R2-D2.
And R2. Like, you leave the only other Jedi with the ship. And the soldier with
the
ship.
Yeah. So we got 2 Jedis who, according to the crawl, it said that they were there to investigate peace talks? Or they were going to do some negotiations for Trade Federation?
I'm trying to... Yeah, it was... they were going to negotiate the trade dilemma thing or whatever, and then they just gassed them. It was really weird, yeah.
Yeah.
Better gas the Jedi.
Yeah, it was really weird. And then, of course, the lightsaber deal. It was pulled out every 5 minutes for every little thing. And if you notice back in New Hope, the lightsaber wasn't pulled out every 5 minutes when something was going on.
They would pull it out, kind of like look around, and then it would go back in and be like, why'd they,
Yeah.
It was weird, but, like, it was, because that movie starts, and you see the droid. Remember, it starts with the droid that looks like C-3PO, and you meet the Jedi, and you're like, this is cool, this is Star Wars, and then you very subtly start to pick up, like, this might not be Star Wars. Yes. And then when you see Jar Jar, you're like, nope, this sucks.
Yes.
But it starts off, like, you don't know at first, the space scene and the Jedi. But I remember the first time I thought, like, I kind of, like, looked around was when they did the Jedi Dash. Like, they're, like, the Flash. And I was, like, looking around, like, is anyone else wondering? I'm like...
The Force Run. So they just all of a sudden use it now.
Yeah.
They had no idea of using it before in 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Nobody ever used the Force Run. But
we're
going to use it now. So in the time frame before what set the lore in place, which was 4, 5, and 6, we're now rewriting things. That was the thing, too. I think I started to roll my eyes. I rolled my eyes so hard I could see outside.
Yeah.
When they started showing...
behind me.
Right. I mean, because when they started showing the scene where... I think the part that was really good to me is when... the droid army, they just seemed to step up, and then they were just getting cut down like nothing. And it was like, why are you even wasting your time with these things?
I never got, even in the second and third one, I never understood the conflict between the droids and the clones or whatever, because, like, Palpatine is both, so, like, there's no conflict, right?
Yeah.
So I never understood the battle droids were obviously so you could kill them and not, this was definitely a children's movie, right? So, like, I think
except
the battle
for the
droid
stuff.
Yeah, except for when Qui-Gon...
The Trade Federation talks
except
stuff.
For, so, I think it was just so you didn't have to watch stormtroopers get murdered, but the battle droids thing was terrible. Like, it was so bad. It was so bad. That was the first toy they ever released, was the battle droid.
That's right.
On the thing.
That's right.
And I remember, like, looking at it and being like, again, I don't get it, but I'll go see it. Like, I trust you.
Well, I never understood, like, why would you make so many of the battle droids and not the droidicas? Because the droidicas were the only thing
they're cool
the Jedis were afraid of, because they had that energy field around them, and they couldn't do anything to them, and that's when the Jedis would force run.
Yeah.
It was whenever those droidicas would roll up on the scene. I'm thinking, well, if I'm in the Empire, I'm going to create more droidicas than I am these other guys, because they don't seem to stop anybody at all. But I don't know. I wasn't there. So instead of being a story about Ben Kenobi probably being trained by Yoda, and then Ben Kenobi finds Anakin, and Anakin he brings to Yoda and says we should train him, and then Yoda says whatever he wants to say. Instead, we got to get Qui-Gon Jinn guy. And
not a great Jedi, right?
No, not a great Jedi at all.
Kind of a crappy Jedi.
Yeah.
He made bad decisions, got killed.
Yeah.
Pretty much brought about the end of the Jedi, like...
Yeah. And then why was he so enamored with, I guess, Anakin? I mean, again, we introduced the whole midichlorians thing.
So there's supposedly some prophecy that says that the kid will bring balance to the Force. And nobody ever thought, because to me, I don't know if it was supposed to be that way, but, okay, balance to the Force, there's how many thousands of Jedis or something?
Right.
2 Sith.
Right.
Anakin comes in, kills a bunch of people, and there's, at least 2 remaining Jedis, right? Obi-Wan and Yoda, and 2 Sith. Vader and Palpatine. So he did bring balance to the Force, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
So, good call, Qui-Gon.
But it was just kind of like the idea of him going in, and then, of course, him meeting...
The Jedi didn't want Anakin, right? They were like, no, he's too old. And Qui-Gon's like, I don't care, you're going to do it anyway. And they're like, no, we're not. So then he died, and they're like, okay.
Which was kind of sad, because it made the Jedi Council look weak. Because here's Qui-Gon Jinn, who has no skin in the battle before this. We don't know nothing about this guy before this. And he can walk in and say, no, let me show you, Ben Kenobi, how to defy the Jedi Council. I'm going to die so that then when I die, you have to do this just because you promised me? Like, that's the only reason why we get to train Anakin, because of a promise?
Isn't that like his dying wish, like train the boy?
Yeah, so they said train the boy, and it's funny because this whole time Ben Kenobi doesn't even like him at all. And then when we see
Ben, tell he sees him as like a wedge being driven between him, because Obi-Wan is very much like, no, we need to do what the Council says, and Qui-Gon is definitely kind of like a rogue. I guess that's probably why he's never been granted to be a master, right?
Yeah,
because he probably doesn't do what they say, and it's like Anakin just like, he's that wedge right between them. He's like, golly, Qui-Gon, what are you doing? They said no. Like, this kid's bad news. He was right, by the way.
He was right, and so they should have just never brought him in. But it's kind of like, it makes you think, well, what's wrong with the Jedi Council that they can't see the Rogue Nation? Rogue Nation. I'm thinking of MI5. I guess now Part 6. But what is it that you can see that Anakin will be trouble, but you don't think bringing on somebody like Qui-Gon Jinn would be trouble, who's going to openly defy you? I mean, you can see that the kid's going to be problems. Can't you see that Qui-Gon would also be problems?
If it wasn't for Qui-Gon, everything would be fine in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
Anakin would have just stayed on that desert planet and been a slave and probably worked in the moisture farm, and the Jedi would have eventually triumphed over Palpatine, because Mace Windu would have killed him. Everything would have been fine. Yeah. No more Sith, right?
Yes.
No more Sith, ever.
Done.
Qui-Gon had to go rogue, talking into his Gillette ladies razor, and calling Obi-Wan.
And then he takes a blood sample so we can see how many metachlorians he has in him, and all of a sudden, and I guess later on in lore they write that his was higher than Yoda's and all this stuff. But it's like, but you didn't even need all that, because Yoda told us everything we needed to know about the Force in Empire Strikes Back when he was training Luke on Dagobah. We learned everything we needed to know about it, and all of a sudden we took it from being that hokey the hokey ancient religion thing to all of a sudden now it's science. If you have a certain amount of midichlorians in you, that means you're going to be this, and you're going to do that. You're going to be, and it's like,
I hate it. They never talk about it again after the whole Anakin thing. They never talk about midichlorians again, I don't think.
Yeah.
The whole rest of eternity.
And if it couldn't get worse, friends, now all of a sudden we find out that Shmi, Anakin's mom, well, it was an immaculate conception all of a sudden.
Yeah. Very Christ-like, I think, right?
It's like, why are we even putting this in here? Like, we couldn't stop with the midichlorians? Like, that wasn't going far enough? It's like, no, let's make him Christ figure as well. Right?
That's so bizarre. I always forget that Anakin didn't have a dad. Like,
yeah.
So weird. Like,
yeah.
What? Like, why would you even... It doesn't...
Because you don't have to have a dad in order to have midichlorians.
Nope. So Jesus must have been a Jedi, I guess, right?
I guess so.
So ridiculous. I can't believe they just blatantly took that from Jesus.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Like, we've heard that story. It's like, wow.
So bad.
So then they make the decision to gamble in order to get the part that they need for the ship, because Watto has it or whatever, and he does a little Jedi mind trick to make the dice roll over.
Cheats.
So he cheats.
Good old
basically.
Qui-Gon cheats and gambles.
And then to this point, we still don't know who the real villain is yet.
Right.
And it's going to be Darth Maul, and Darth Maul shows up for 18 seconds right before they get on the ship.
Yeah, he Anakin drop, and they hit lightsabers, and then Qui-Gon runs away. I remember he runs away, and they fly away, and I always liked that person. I was like, dang, this dude's bad. Like, the Jedi ran.
Yeah, the Jedi ran from him.
And he should have immediately called back to the Jedi Council and been like, we got a Sith here. Mm-hmm. Send every Jedi to this planet. Let's end it right now. But nope. I didn't do it.
No, so I don't even understand that. So it's like, when you look at most movies, you have that current, like there's an arc, right? There's the protagonist, the antagonist, and the protagonist starts out, he's not very sure of himself, like Luke was definitely that. And you look at this film and you go, well, who's really the good guy that you're kind of rooting for? Because it wouldn't be Qui-Gon Jinn or Ben Kenobi. Ben Kenobi sits on the ship most of the deal.
It should be Ben Kenobi, but he's not in the movie very much.
Yeah, and then you don't have the same thing set in terms of the villain, right? Because in New Hope, we knew right off the bat, Darth Vader's definitely the bad guy. Yeah. You know, Princess Leia's definitely one of the good folks with the Resistance trying to get those plans out in R2-D2 so they can get away and maybe get that readout and all that. You see all the strategy going on. But here, the strategy is, we just got to get her to sign the peace treaty. We're going to have a no confidence in vote for Chancellor Valorum. But then we have a trade federation that's also trying to do a blockade to keep things from getting in.
I never understood all that.
I don't know. So I would just say with the Phantom Menace, probably the best part about it was really for them to make games for the pod race. I didn't really care for the pod race. I thought that went on way too. I mean, what do you think?
I was telling you the other day, every time I rewatch that movie, I have to skip past that pod race. I hate it. It's so dumb. It's so, let's sell video games, let's sell toys, you know.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate that stupid pod race. Not only is it not vital to that movie, it's like 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's like a whole episode of Friends long. You know, it's ridiculous. It's so unnecessary. I can't stand that.
Does anybody even survive the pod race?
Anakin.
He's the only one that survives. So what kind of race is that if everybody else doesn't cross? I mean, can you imagine going to the Texas Motor Speedway and only one car crossing?
I guess you won since you're the only one that lived.
I mean, so I was just kind of like, okay. And then, of course, if we talk about the acting, and of course there's been a lot said already about Jake Lloyd and all of that stuff, but again, it was kind of like when they showed the behind the scenes, you could see that there was at least one other kid who looked a lot like Luke, who nailed his scenes, and they just kind of ignored him and said, no, let's go with this kid.
Was this after he was in the Arnold Schwarzenegger Christmas movie?
I think so.
Okay, so that was his claim to fame. Was that one movie?
Yeah.
Man, what a shame. I mean, that poor character of Anakin, which really the prequels are his journey.
Yeah, supposedly.
They just picked some bad casting for Anakin in those movies, and you just cannot sympathize with him or like him. I'm a person, and my name is Anakin. I hate that. Oh, man.
Are you an angel?
Yeah. Are you an angel?
I heard the Spice Traders talking about Rebecca. What?
No.
and again...
bro, you're 8.
Does he really need to build C-3PO?
Oh man, there's another one. So with that first movie, they started doing this thing where they would squeeze as many characters as they could into it, and they didn't care if it didn't make sense. Like Chewbacca being in the third one, and Darth Vader building C-3PO. Like what? None of that made sense.
And so then now you sit back, and the situation is you have to have this big battle at the end. So you got to have the droids and the Gungans, and then there's got to be Anakin on a ship somehow. They just told him to hide somewhere safe. And he hides in a ship that happens to have R2-D2 already loaded in it.
Yeah.
Right?
And he's so smart in the whole movie. He's fixing all these things, but he can't figure out on that ship. What's this button do? Whoops. What's this button do?
I'll try spinning.
Yeah.
That's a neat trick.
Thanks, R2.
Now this is pod racing.
Now this is stupid.
And it was like, and of course, we've talked about it forever about how did he happen to have the right size helmet and goggles in there as well. So, I mean, it was just like, come on, George, you're not even trying at this point.
Yeah.
You're just saying no.
How about how he blows the thing up, too?
Oh, come on, right?
Like, Luke's made sense. It was like the whole thing is so stupid. The Gungan fight is stupid. They just kind of stumble into winning. Anakin stumbles into blow. It's like, you expect us to believe this? Like, what? Why do you hate? Like, what do we do to you, man? Like, what happened? We thought we were your friends.
Yeah, I don't understand. And again, this is crazy because all this is set up just because of a couple of lines that were said in A New Hope. I mean, when he was talking about Darth Vader, that doesn't mean, okay, well, what we need to do then to show Anakin's story is we have to show him as a pilot.
Give him 9 hours.
That was a throwaway. Like, remember Luke goes, you know my dad? When he fought in the Clone Wars? And then, of course, we'll talk about it. Just a sentence that's thrown out, and now we got to build a movie around just a throwaway sentence, which, when he said, you knew my dad? You fought with my dad in the Clone Wars? That was not a big plot reveal of any kind. But we had to make it the focus of a second movie. You know, we'll talk about that as well. But it's just like these are just lines that they're throwing out that make sense. And then remember, even Ben Kenobi says, "I don't remember owning any droids." So he doesn't recognize R2 either, even though R2's with him the whole time through the prequels.
Yeah, I know.
And they've saved their life.
And C-3PO.
Yes. Remember, what was it? Oh, this is bad. So, remember, was it Padme or one of her henchwomen or maidwomen or whatever you want to call them, said, we need to clean up this droid, for he has fought valiantly for us. So, Obi-Wan doesn't remember any of that. He deserves to get scrubbed and cleaned.
R2?
Yeah, R2 does.
Yeah, R2 especially. And then the next one, C-3PO's in the whole... I mean, it's ridiculous that he did... Well, it could be that he was lying or something. I don't know. It's weird. A lot of things don't match up.
Yeah. No, you're just thinking the way... When you look at the way Alex Guinness nails that line about who Darth Vader was, you know, and then even when he talks about himself, he says, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. And then you get the sense that he's going to sit down and just... open it up for you, and he does. He says some great things, and Luke's like, "Really, my dad? You know, and all this stuff." He was going to fill in some information, and what we get is this. So, I guess one of my biggest problems with this film is you didn't need it. Actually, you didn't need this film at all.
There's a few important parts of this film, and it's almost all about them finding Anakin and getting him out of there. Everything else was completely unnecessary. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm not one of those people that talks about how much they hate movies.
Right.
I like movies, and I look for the best in every movie. And there are good parts of this movie, which I guess we'll probably talk about.
Yeah.
But this movie is just not a good movie.
No, and it's not that... Because I've heard people online say, well, that's because you're OT boys and you OT fanboys are just elitist and snobbish, and because this movie, and it's all nostalgia. And it's like, no, if you go look at what this film critically did for that time... The only reason why we have 1, 2, and 3 is because 4, 5, and 6 were great. And by the way, I can say that Return of the Jedi, it had some big weaknesses, and we'll definitely talk about that when we get to that. But the difference is, don't let people talking about the prequels make you then turn around and attack the original trilogy, because it can stand on its own. It won Academy Awards several for what it had done and what it had done to change the time, and then trying to compare the special effects between the two, the 70s versus effects of the 90s. I mean, that's not even, shouldn't even be necessary. You shouldn't even do that. But to that point, I'd say talking about some of the best things in here is, I think Darth Maul, when you wanted to create something menacing, when you had to have somebody that's just as menacing as Darth Vader or more, I think they achieved that with Darth Maul. What do you think?
I think Darth Maul is definitely the one takeaway from this movie that's cool. So it's just so sad that they just kill him at the end, but spoilers. But that lightsaber fight, I'm just thinking, because I really like the lightsaber fight in Episode 3, but I think that's probably the best lightsaber fight in all 6 movies. Also like the one in Return of the Jedi too. Yes. That's cool too, because that one's so emotional. But if you're looking at the actual moves, that lightsaber fight with Darth, and you're cheering for Darth Maul.
You are,
because it's 1-on-2. In one of the no-nos in professional wrestling or whatever is you never send 2 good guys after 1 bad guy, because you start cheering for the bad guy as an underdog. And that whole time you're cheering for Darth Maul. You're like, look at that, he's holding his own with 2 Jedis. And he whoops them, man.
He does.
He kills one of them, the other one gets lucky. It doesn't even make sense how he beats him.
Yeah, see, now that's the other thing about that, too. So even in the moment of doing something good in the prequels, especially in Phantom Menace, it does something stupid. So he says, don't, he tells Anakin later on, don't, I have the high ground in Episode 3, right?
He doesn't even... Yeah,
well, you don't have the high ground here. And somehow, I don't understand how Darth Maul just stands there when he has all the advantage. All he has to do is stick his blade out, and as he's flipping up trying to get behind him, he would just be cut in half.
He kind of even
But he just stood there.
Yeah.
He just kind of stood there after he taunted him. He just stood there like, oh, he has the Force. He can flip.
Remember there's that part where the laser gates are coming down?
Yeah.
After he kills Qui-Gon. Spoilers. And I remember Obi-Wan's like I'm gonna rip this. You can see in his eyes.
Yeah.
Because again, my other takeaway from this is Ewan McGregor is great. He didn't get his chance in this movie.
Yes.
But as we go into the next one, Ewan McGregor is the best part of these movies for me.
Yes.
But he's got all that emotion on his face, like, oh my God, wait till I get to you, wait till I get to you. And Darth Maul's on the other side. He just starts meditating.
Darth Maul?
Yeah.
He does that pacing.
Yeah.
He paces like that lion in the cage.
Or no, it's Qui-Gon who's meditating.
Yes,
he just starts pacing
because
because don't they put their lightsabers back in too and everything. Like
yeah.
That part was cool.
I mean,
like,
it was good. It was a little too well choreographed though, because in a sense, but still much better than what we'd seen before. So I give you that. And to your point, I would say that after Darth Maul, for me at least, I would say that Ewan McGregor. That's a great choice for Ben Kenobi.
He was so good. Yeah. Again, in this movie, they don't give him enough to do.
They don't.
Like you said, they leave him on the ship the whole movie.
Yeah, and then he's complaining and whining about not being on the bitch, and then on the ship, and then of course, then Anakin's whining and complaining, and so all of a sudden, what you get in this movie is everybody's going to whine and complain, or they're going to be the Jedi Council and stroke their chin all the time and act like they don't understand what all is going on around them. So I guess you would also say, I guess that was good about this was the Ian McDermott playing the Palpatine.
Yeah, it was good to
because he was masterful behind the scenes, pulling the strings, being the ultimate puppet master. So for all the things that the prequels get wrong, at least here in Phantom Menace, I think he was perfect for Palpatine.
In this one, I'm trying to think. This one, and for sure in the third one, he has a couple of moments where you're like, how is this guy not like a major studio actor? He is terrifying in a few of those scenes. Like, and this one too, because in this one he has to kind of play two different characters, because the Chancellor isn't a bad guy.
Right.
So he did a good job, like that can't be easy to have to play two completely different characters in the same movie, and it's a Star Wars movie. So yeah, again, he doesn't have enough to do with this movie to save it.
Yeah.
Same with Ewan McGregor. They just don't have enough to do to save this movie. The only person that could have saved this movie would have been either Liam Neeson or the little boy playing Anakin. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't happening.
Well, when you look at the whole of the movies, all of them together, what did you really accomplish in the Phantom Menace? All you did was you found Anakin.
Yeah.
And then Qui-Gon loses to another Sith Lord that we didn't know that was out there. That was Darth Maul. And then, of course, there's politics. That's all we really got in this movie, which really does nothing to further the story other than finding Anakin about, how does he become Darth Vader. In fact, to me, I would have liked to have seen this be more about Ben Kenobi and Yoda, because they're fan favorites, and Ben Kenobi said it twice in Empire Strikes Back, that Yoda was the one that trained him, and so I thought this would have been great. And Qui-Gon Jinn could have been just one of the guys on the council, the Jedi Council, rather than this. And I think if you'd have put that story showing how Ben Kenobi is being taught what he's being taught from the Master Yoda. I mean, you're 900 years using the Force. Let's see us, other than just the Empire Strikes Back. Let us see you doing that. I think the other good thing from it was the Duel of Fates.
I love the soundtrack. John Williams' soundtrack is incredible.
Yeah.
It's just, man, the hype for this movie, it was going to be a letdown almost no matter what. So you almost feel bad, but it's a bad movie. Like, regardless of the hype, it's a bad movie. It's a bad script. It's got bad acting. It's just not a good movie, and it's sad because we wanted it to be good.
We did.
We wanted it to be good so bad.